Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video might be a little bit longer and I hope all of you are okay with this because there is a lot of topics I would like to go through in this video and present to you. Among those topics, of course, besides the meeting that took place yesterday between President Trump and President Putin in Alaska, I will be bringing to you the letter that Melania Trump has sent to Putin. She has given this letter to her husband, to Trump, and he delivered it to Putin. What was in this letter, as much as we know, and my opinion, why did she send that letter to Putin? I will also bring to you the response, the reaction from Zelensky. What is he planning to do now, officially? He already made a post about it. Medvedev, yes, Dmitry Medvedev. I will be reading an article from TASS. Medvedev is bringing up the points, presenting the points that have been discussed and agreed upon. So this will come from Russia. I also have a very beautiful video. I really appreciate this video. I hope you will watch it with me as well. And that will be a moment when Putin is honoring the Soviet soldiers that have graves in Alaska, and he's meeting with one of the priests from Orthodox Church in the United States, actually. So that will be a great video. I hope you appreciate it. And first and foremost, I would like to give you my opinion that some of you know exactly what it is, but some of you probably don't because you follow other people and you probably believe their analyst and their opinion, and all respect to that, but I have my own that might vary quite a lot about the body language, about what took place that many people probably will never see or see through the show that has been presented, and a little bit the body language analyst, if that's okay with you. Before we start with this video, I would like to say huge thank you to Antonius, what a glorious name you have, for your donation on my GoFundMe page, and also to everyone who recently donated on PayPal, and that is to John, Michelle, Isabel, and Liz. Thank you very, very much for your kindness, your generosity, and your donations. It means a lot to me. So let's jump to where shall we start? You know, I was thinking to start with the moment. Let's start chronologically from the moment when Trump was waiting for Putin on the red carpet and Putin was approaching Trump. And I want to show you part of the video that maybe was not presented on many channels because they didn't want that to be shown to the public. So we're going to analyze this a little bit. This will be my first thoughts, impressions, and the body language from me, how I perceive that. What did they show to us as far as the energy, body language, etc. So let's play this. This video will not have a sound because I want to go with you through this moment. Let me find it. I have so many windows open today for you guys, so just be very patient with me. I found this one because, of course, there are like hundreds, if not thousands, circulating around the world on different platforms. This is from Palm Beach Post. And actually, this is really good because it shows how Putin is approaching Trump, and I want to pay attention to it. So let's start. Of course, most of you, if not all of you, have seen it already. My first thoughts when I saw Trump was coming down. Okay, so let's look. He's waiting, he's clapping, so that means that's great. It's great, all great. And now Putin is approaching. Okay, I want to go back to this very brief moment. Look at the left hand of Putin as he is putting Putin is putting the thumbs up. So this is the sign, that symbol that Trump uses often. Let's just, you see it right here, actually was able to stop it, but maybe we watch it again. You can always rewatch it. Here we go. It was very quick, but he brought the left hand into thumbs up. Boom. Yeah. So that's right there, very quick message. And they greet. And of course, if you don't know, you know now, and I'm sure you know that Putin speaks English pretty well, as I was told. And he just, uses the translators all the time, because I don't think he really wants to speak English in public, but clearly you can tell that's how they are communicating. And then I look at that when they were walking together, I could feel an ease in that. I could feel almost like they knew there is a certain moment, a certain threshold that has been crossed as far as for humanity. This is huge as far as the symbolism of these guys, because those one of the most powerful countries in the world, those two people represent those countries. I know many of you don't like Trump, but that's up to you. I look at things differently. I'm not here to convince anyone to anything. I just want to freely on my channel share my opinion. So they have to take this moment. What was the moment when Putin was showing as if he didn't hear the question, because one of the journalists was shouting, I think she shouted out, President Putin, are you still okay with killing civilians or something like that? I think probably they heard the question, but that's the media. We all know, Trump knows, Putin knows. All right, enough. Trump is enough of this. Let's go. Very friendly, very nice. No tension, smile on Putin's face. And Russians don't really smile much, so that was pretty genuine. And of course, Putin smiles a lot to certain people. There we go. Okay. Now, I give you my few cents from this moment when I saw them two coming together. I literally felt like we are watching a show. I had this strong impulse, this almost like intuitive message that this is all scripted. It's literally all scripted. And I say it again, I will say it again. Those two leaders are fighting exactly the same evil, the core of the same evil that might be represented in different forms. And I will keep on saying this because that's how I see this meeting. And that's, in my opinion, the press conference that was given just confirmed my thoughts. Now let's go to this video. I will mute myself now. This will show you briefly a face of Putin you hardly ever see, but it's worth watching this moment because the prostitutes, you know what I mean, the journalists of the fake news, of course, even though they were told, thank you media, that's it, time out, right? Time out. For many things, time out. They were still shouting. So let's take a look and let's take a listen at this absolutely zero class, no manners, low level behavior, in my opinion. You should know better if you're a journalist, especially at the meeting like that.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, press. 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 Let's go. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Let's go. Come on, guys.
Come on, guys. Let's go. Let's go.
Thank you, press.
Let's go.
Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you, press.
Let's go. Let's go.
Thank you, press. 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 Come on, guys. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you, press.
So, I was trying to figure out what Putin was saying when he did that. And I think now I actually got this. I'm not sure if I'm correct, of course, but tell me in the comments down below, what do you think? I think he was saying behave. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. So that is the prostitutes, the fake news. Now, I want to go for a moment to Melania and the letter, and then we go back to the very important words that were spoken after that meeting took place. So let's go first to Melania Trump. What kind of letter she gave to her husband that's supposed to be delivered to Putin. Let's read this. This is from Polish portal, but doesn't matter because the same news is everywhere as far as, some truth and some lies all blended together in one mixer. So let's read this. Melania Trump's announced letter to Vladimir Putin. What was it about? According to Reuters, citing sources in the White House, Melania Trump wrote a letter to Vladimir Putin. In it, the First Lady of the United States raised the issue of Ukrainian children who were illegally deported from the occupied territories of Ukraine by the Russians. Her husband, President Donald Trump, personally handed the letter to Putin during their meeting in Alaska. The content of the letter was not disclosed, but officials said that Melania Trump mentioned children abducted as the result of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The authorities in Kyiv estimate that since the beginning of the war in February 2022, the Russians have deported about 20,000 children from Ukraine. Many of them are orphans who have lost loved ones or have been forcibly separated from them. I'm not going to read the rest because here this is like full steam ahead propaganda. So now let me just focus on this again and I tell you what I think about it. So the content of the letter was not disclosed, but officials said that Melania mentioned children abducted as a result of Russian invasion of Ukraine. Okay, so now everyone will probably think, because that's how I'm seeing this. There are two ways you can look at it. First way is the way that they present to you, which means that she is believing that Russia is kidnapping those children from Ukraine and doing some nefarious things to them. Okay, that's what media wants you to think, right? Do you think that we don't know better? Do you think that she does not know better? Because they are literally both fighting human trafficking. So the content on this letter is first and foremost, however, regardless of how it's presented, is to highlight the subject of missing children. That means the children's substance, the human sacrifice. You know exactly where I'm going with this. So this has been highlighted. Oh, Melania sent a letter to Putin. What children? Children are missing. Orphanages. Why from orphanages? Etc. etc. Now, some people start to do their research and they say, well, wait a second. There is a foundation that Olena Zelenska has for those orphans from Ukraine. And then they go deeper, and I recorded 2, if not 3 videos about it, where those orphans have been delivered as a service to some very prominent people all across Europe. You know, to do what, okay? So some people will go into that rabbit hole and they do their own research. So if you do this translation of this information, if you look at it this way, you can tell, all right, this is highlighted. Now, you might also read it in a way that the content of this letter was not disclosed, but officials said that Melania Trump mentioned children abducted as a result of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Okay, so that means that she meant the children, Ukrainian children, and what happened to those children. She might not have addressed in this letter that Russia is the country that is taking advantage or of those children or abusing them, because most of you, if not all of you, know that's absolutely not the case, all right? That's how I feel, and no one will convince me that it's any different. If there is a country that is taking advantage of those children, it's absolutely the demons, the devils, and the Nazis in Ukraine. So that's how I look at this message. That's why you don't have the full letter, and maybe you will never see this letter. But the topic has been raised. One more thing I want to say, because we're gonna soon witness speeding up the process of the elections that have been changed, as I said. Russia hoax that leads to Hillary Clinton, that leads to Clinton Foundation, that leads to Clinton Foundation connected to Olena Zelensky's foundation. By the way, not a long time ago, just last year, I think they met in New York City. Surprise, surprise. So all of this, guys, is connecting the dots, and that's how you're gonna see things coming to exposure. I mean, who knows already knows, but who doesn't will have a very, very heavy landing with the awakening. So now let's go to this very important moment. And I have to tell you that the end of this conference, literally, I said, this is it. They both nailed it. This entire meeting, like I said in my video yesterday, this is not something that we're gonna hear, oh, this land now is Russia, this land is Ukraine, the borderline is there. This was not about that. This was about two people. Well, that's another story, how many Trumps are there and how many Putins are there, because they have a tendency to look sometimes quite different in different moments. And if you think I'm crazy, that's okay, whatever you want to think. I think we are watching like the performance of humanity's performances ever. But going back to what I was saying is, this was about coming to the point how we are going forward in this battle, the spiritual battle from this moment on. What has been accomplished, what still has to be done, and you will have the confirmation of this, what I'm saying, from Medvedev. So what US, Trump has agreed to, as far as officially, of course, for the public, how much time, how much more time, leverage Russia needs to complete the task to remove those nefarious locations where they were testing, extracting the substance from the children, sacrificing, creating new biological weapons against humanity. How much more time Russia needs to clean this up? I said it yesterday, and this was just confirmed. So now, let's go, and I'm going to play this in full length. Maybe I will stop in a few moments or after that to tell you how right there, straight to the point, things have been said and presented. Mutual respect. If anyone tells me that Trump is playing Putin or Putin is playing Trump, I'm sorry. I know this is maybe not nice, but I will say BS. I'm not buying this at all. Those are two allies absolutely fighting the same evil. So let's play this conference. I might stop during it. I'm actually very excited about it, because when you know, you know. So let's go.
Atmosphere of mutual respect. We have very thorough negotiations that were quite useful. I would like to thank once again my American counterpart for the proposal to travel out here to Alaska. It only makes sense that we've met here, because our countries, though separated by the oceans, are close neighbors. So when we've met, when I came out of the plane and I've said, "Good afternoon, dear neighbor. Very good to see you. In good health and to see you alive." I think that is very neighborly. And I think that's some kind words that we can say to each other. We're separated by the Strait of Bering, though there are 2 islands only between the Russian island and the US island. They're only 4 kilometers apart. We're close neighbors, and it's a fact. It's also important that Alaska has to do with our common heritage, common history between Russia and the US, and many positive events have to do with that territory. Still, there is tremendous cultural heritage back from the Russian America. For example, Orthodox churches and a lot of more than 700 geographical names of Russian origin. During the Second World War, it was here in Alaska that was the origin of the legendary air bridge for the supply of military aircraft and other equipment under the Lend-Lease program. There was a dangerous and treacherous route over the vast emptiness of ice. However, the pilots of both countries did everything to bring closer the victory. They risked their lives and they gave it all for the common victory. I was just in the city of Magadan in Russia, and there is a memorial there dedicated to the Russian and the US pilots. And there are two flags, the US flag and the Russian flag. And I know that here as well, there is such a memorial. There is a military burial place several kilometers away from here. The Soviet pilots that buried there who died during that dangerous mission. We're thankful to the citizens and the government of the US for carefully taking care of their memory. I think that's very worthy and noble. We'll always remember other historical examples when our countries defeated common enemies together in the spirit of battle camaraderie and allyship.
So did you hear it? We will always remember when our two countries, I'm paraphrasing, have won in the battle with the same enemies. Let's continue.
That supported each other and facilitated each other. I'm sure that this heritage will help us rebuild and foster mutually beneficial and equal ties at this new stage, even during the hardest conditions. It is known that there have been no summits between Russia and the US for 4 years, and that's a long time. This time was very hard for bilateral relations, and let's be frank, they've fallen to the lowest point since the Cold War. I think that's not benefiting our countries and the world as a whole. It is apparent that sooner or later we had to amend the situation to move on from the confrontation to dialogue. And in this case, a personal meeting between the heads of state has been long overdue. Naturally, under the condition of serious and painstaking work, and this work has been done in general. Me and President Trump have very good direct contact. We've spoken multiple times. We spoke frankly on the phone.
Now, why I stop this again? Because, of course, when Putin says it, most people think that they have spoken just recently. I mean, they have contact, right? But I think people understand this, that their contact has been lately since Trump was inaugurated and he's officially the president, right? Again, do I have the proof and the evidence? No. But let's be honest, a lot of things that are taking place, none of us will ever see with our own eyes, just with our intuition. Some things you just know or you feel, even though you cannot prove it. I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. That's why I believe that they have been in contact for a very, very, very long time, frequent contact. So let's continue.
And special envoy of the president, Mr. Witkoff, traveled out to Russia several times. Our advisors and heads of foreign ministries kept in touch all the time. And you know fully well that one of the central issues was the situation around Ukraine. We see the strive of the administration and President Trump personally to help facilitate the resolution of the Ukrainian conflict. And his strive to get to the crux of the matter, to understand this history, is precious. As I've said, the situation in Ukraine has to do with fundamental threats to our security. Moreover, we've always considered the Ukrainian nation, and I've said it multiple times, a brotherly nation, however strange it may sound in these conditions. We have the same roots, and everything that's happening is a tragedy for us and terrible wound. Therefore, the country is sincerely interested in putting an end to it. At the same time, we're convinced that in order to make the settlement lasting and long-term, we need to eliminate all the primary roots the primary causes of that conflict, and we've said it multiple times, to consider all legitimate concerns of Russia and to reinstate a just balance of security.
We have to eliminate all the roots, all the causes of this conflict. And there are many. Let's continue.
Security in Europe and in the world on the whole. And I agree with President Trump, as he has said today, that naturally the security of Ukraine should be ensured as well. Naturally, we are prepared to work on that. I would like to hope that the agreement that we've reached together will help us bring closer that goal and will pave the path towards peace in Ukraine. We expect that Kiev and European capitals will perceive that constructively and that they won't throw a wrench in the works. They will not make any attempts to use some backroom dealings to conduct provocations to torpedo the nascent progress. Incidentally, when the new administration came to power, bilateral trade started to grow. It's still very symbolic. Still, we have a growth of 20%. As I've said, we have a lot of dimensions for joint work. It is clear that the US and Russian investment and business cooperation has tremendous potential. Russia and the US can offer each other so much in trade, digital, high-tech, and in space exploration. We see that Arctic cooperation is also very possible, and our international context, for example, between the Far East of Russia and the West Coast of the US. Overall, it's very important for our countries to turn the page, to go back to cooperation. It is symbolic that not far away from here, at the border between Russia and the US, there was a so-called international date line. I think you can step over literally from yesterday into tomorrow.
How great. The dateline, changing the timelines, stepping from yesterday into tomorrow. I love Putin's speech, everybody. So much info there.
And I hope that we'll succeed in that. In political sphere, I would like to thank President Trump for our joint work, for the well-wishing and trustworthy tone of our conversation. It's important that both sides are result-oriented, and we see that the President of the US has a very clear idea of what he would like to achieve. He sincerely cares about prosperity of his nation. Still, he understands that Russia has its own national interests. I expect that today's agreements will be the starting point, not only for the solution of the Ukrainian issue, but also will help us bring back business-like and pragmatic relations between Russia and the US. And in the end, I would like to add one more thing. I'd like to remind you that in 2022, during the last contact with the previous administration, I tried to convince my previous American colleague that the situation should not be brought to the point of no return when it would come to hostilities. And I said it quite directly back then that it's a big mistake. Today, when President Trump saying that if he was the president back then, there will be no war. And I'm quite sure that it would indeed be so. I can confirm that. I think that
Did you hear it? Putin himself, and he didn't have to say it, no one forced him to say it, said that if Trump would be the president, when Biden or Obama or whoever took over, the election results that have been changed, you know what I'm saying? There would be no war as it is right now. Putin is saying this. And I know there are a lot of people who are saying this is BS, Trump is just talking out of his whatever. So why Putin said it, everyone? Just tell me why Putin said it. He doesn't have to say it. No one is forcing him. And if you tell me now that Putin is playing Trump, I think this is absolutely ridiculous. It's just, my opinion. So let's continue. I just love this entire conference.
overall, me and President Trump have built a a very good, businesslike, and trustworthy contact. And I have every reason to believe that moving down this path, we can come, and the sooner the better, to the end of the conflict in Ukraine. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. President. That was very profound. And I will say that I believe we had a very productive meeting. There were many, many points that we agreed on. Most of them, I would say, a couple of big ones that we haven't quite gotten there, but we've made some headway. So there's no deal until there's a deal. I will call up NATO in a little while. I will call up the various people that I think are appropriate. And I'll, of course, call up President Zelensky and tell him about today's meeting. It's ultimately up to them. They're going to have to agree with what Marco and Steve and some of the great people from the Trump administration who've come here, Scott and John Radcliffe. Thank you very much. But we have some of our really great leaders. They've been doing a phenomenal job. We also have some tremendous Russian business representatives here. And I think, everybody wants to deal with us. We've become the hottest country anywhere in the world in a very short period of time. And we look forward to that. We look forward to dealing. We're going to try and get this over with. We really made some great progress today. I've always had a fantastic relationship with President Putin, with Vladimir. We had many tough meetings, good meetings. We were interfered with by the Russia hoax. That made it a little bit tougher to deal with, but he understood it.
Do you see how Putin is smiling here right now? I mean, what to say? Hear your smile.
I think he's probably seen things like that during the course of his career. He's seen it all. But we had to put up with the Russia hoax. He knew it was a hoax, and I knew it was a hoax. But what was done was very criminal. But it made it harder for us to deal as a country in terms of the business and all of the things that we'd like to have dealt with. But we'll have a good chance when this is over. So just to put it very quickly, I'm going to start making a few phone calls and tell them what happened. But we had an extremely productive meeting, and many points were agreed to. There are just a very few that are left. Some are not that significant. One is probably the most significant, but we have a very good chance of getting there. We didn't get there, but we have a very good chance of getting there. I would like to thank President Putin and his entire team, who I know in many cases, other than that, whose faces I get to see all the time in the newspapers. You're almost as famous as the boss, but especially this one right over here.
So if you can tell, you can see probably Sergei Lavrov is sitting right here, and Trump just hinted to him. He pointed at him. That's who he meant. So let's continue.
But we had some good meetings over the years, right? Good, productive meetings over the years. And we hope to have that in the future. But let's do the most productive one right now. We're going to stop really 5, 6, 7,000, thousands of people a week from being killed. And President Putin wants to see that as much as I do. So again, Mr. President, I'd like to thank you very much. And we'll speak to you very soon and probably see you again very soon. Thank you very much, Vladimir.
And next time in Moscow.
Oh, that's an interesting one. I don't know. I'll get a little heat on that one, but I could see it possibly happening. Thank you very much, Vladimir.
Thank you.
And thank you all. Thank you.
Guys, can I just play it again? Can I tell you, when I heard it the first time, I was like, oh my God, like, this is great. I just love it. Let's play it again. And then I tell you my few cents about this entire meeting. One moment, let me mute myself. I have to play it again.
But we had to put up with the Russia hoax. The newspapers, you're almost as probably see you again very soon. Thank you very much, Vladimir.
And next time in Moscow.
Oh, that's an interesting one. I don't know. I'll get a little heat.
Okay, sorry, I couldn't resist. I just love this entire thing. So guys, in my opinion, again, there was never anyone like Putin, and there was never anyone like Trump. I think that's how God works, that certain people are called, they have a sole mission in life to fulfill a very, very heavy, difficult duties. And in this case, this was a very pivotal moment for the world to see that you have two great powers that can come together. And even though they will not tell you there is a ceasefire, there is the end of the war or a conflict, etc., etc., you can see the mutual respect, and you can see that European Union and NATO and the British Empire will be absolutely in need of pampers right now. Because how this will go from this moment on, there are two ways, in my opinion. Ultimately, we're gonna win. Now the question is, with or without an escalation of the conflict. And what do I mean by that? If Zelensky, well, we know it's not him, he's the face of the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, demonics, etc. If he is going to speak for them and say, all right, we come to some agreements, that means that the conflict will not be escalated and they will agree to something. If they don't, that means Russia will have a bigger cleanup to do. And you know what I mean by that. The governments will be falling. There might be some military engagement because perhaps, unfortunately, that will be another choice that humanity has to face, because there is still stuff to be taken care of. And I know it sounds crazy, but that's how I look at it. Now, what I know from this, they are in alignment. They presented this to us. Again, I believe all of this is scripted. That's how I see it. But I see it in a good light. I want to present to you now the very special video that I came across. And this is Putin, who went after that meeting to the cemetery that is in Alaska of the Soviet soldiers who died there during the World War II. And he met with two people. One is a priest and one is someone who is taking care of that place. And it was really, really nice video to watch. So I hope you appreciate it. Let me take you there. And I will play it without the sound, and then we turn the sound on when he's talking to the Orthodox priest and the person who is taking care of those graves. So I mute the video, and then I'm gonna play the sound. So there is a cemetery. This is a little bit backstory, really nicely done. Assumes huge significance. Oh, sorry, guys. For Russia that dates back to the Soviet era. During World War II, the US and the Soviet Union were allies against Nazi Germany. Putin is laying down the flowers at each grave, at every soldier. The US had supplied the Soviets with nearly 8,000 aircraft and other war materials. From 1942 to 1945, Soviet pilots trained alongside American crew in Fairbanks, Alaska. It's a beautiful moment, isn't it? Some Soviet pilots died during training or in transit due to accidents or harsh weather conditions. initially buried in Fairbanks and Nome. Their remains were reinterred, I think that's how you say it, in 1946 at the Fort Richardson. The graves have white headstones bearing the names, ranks, and service details of each Soviet pilot. And now let me take you, let me see, because there's like a full interaction here. So let me take you to this moment when he's talking to the priest and then to the man who is right here. This is such a lovely interaction. You will watch it in a second with this man who is maintaining those graves. So now let me mute myself. Let's go to the video.
Alexia.
I would like to give you the best greetings from His Holiness Patriarch of Moscow alone of Russia, Kirill.
ReinekPirwatny.pl. This is the sound of water flowing from the tap in your new apartment.
Мы с ним встречались перед моей поездкой сюда.
I met him before my trip here.
Он мне сам рассказал о том, как здесь зарождалась православная церковь.
He personally told me how the Russian Orthodox Church was established here.
Рассказал о том, что он здесь тоже был на службе.
He told me he'd been to Alaska and he assisted at the divine service.
С большой теплотой очень отзывался обо всем.
And he spoke with great warmth about
И
his
прошу передать
recollections.
вам самые наилучшие пожелания.
And he asked me to give you his best greetings.
И я хотел бы на память вам вручить некоторые подарки.
And I would like to present you some small gifts as a token.
Герман Аляскинский.
This is St. Herman of Alaska.
И он, насколько я понимаю, является покровителем с точки зрения православной церкви, является покровителем Америки.
And as far as I understand, he is the patron saint of America in the Orthodox tradition.
Yes. Что вам всего самого доброго. Спасибо.
So I would like to wish you all the best.
Thank you so very much.
Благодарю вас.
Сегодня праздник. Сегодня праздник.
And there is also a holiday,
Успение.
Domitian of Theotokos.
Хочу вам тоже передать на память эту икону.
So this is another gift I would like to present to you,
И хочу пожелать вам всего самого доброго.
and I would like to wish you all the best.
I'm very, very grateful.
Я весьма признателен вам.
I also have a little gift. If
У
we
меня
could
также
bring
для
it.
вас есть небольшой
That's a
подарок.
very
если
small
позволите.
gift.
Это небольшой подарок.
But it's the icon that I was given when I was made a bishop, and it was given to me by monks from the Holy Mountain.
Это икона, которая была дана мне в дар, когда я был рукоположен в епископы со Святой горы.
And it's been in my prayer corner for 4 years.
В течение 4 лет она находилась в моем уголке, где я молюсь.
And I'd like to give it back to you to express the gratitude that the native peoples of Alaska have to the leaders that came before, to those in Russia that sent the missionaries.
И я хотел бы передать ее вам для того, чтобы выразить признательность коренного населения Аляски, лидерам той страны, которая направила когда-то сюда миссионеров.
For us, Russia has given us what's most precious of all, which is the Orthodox faith, and we are forever grateful.
Россия подарила нам то, за что мы наиболее вам признательны, что-то наиболее ценное, это православная вера, и мы всегда будем признательны.
Но это то, что нас объединяет.
But this is what brings us together.
В основе
Absolutely.
наших отношений.
This is the foundation of our relations.
And I go to Russia, I'll try to go yearly, and it's a great benefit to my priests and my seminarians, because they see, for them when they go to Russia, they say, I've been home, I've come home.
Я стараюсь ежегодно оказываться в России, и для меня, равно как и для моего священства, и для семинаристов, это всегда большой подарок. Каждый раз, когда они оказываются там, они говорят, мы чувствуем, что оказались дома.
Вы всегда у нас желанный гость. И чувствуете себя там как дома.
You are always welcome guests in Russia, and please feel at home whenever you come.
Thank you. Thank you so
Спасибо
much.
большое.
Спасибо. Thank you.
Директор кладбища Дуэйн тоже поблагодарить за сохранность.
Спасибо большое вам за сохранность, такое отношение доброе,
Thank you very much.
сердечное к
To nie są tylko frytki. To czuły gest.
К памяти наших воинов.
For taking such great care and for preserving the memory of our valorous warriors.
Absolutely, President Putin. It's our honor to care for all veterans here, and especially for the 14 Russian citizens interred here.
Да, спасибо большое, господин президент. Для нас большая честь сохранять наследие всех ветеранов, которые захоронены здесь, и также, в частности, 14 российских граждан, которые
Это то,
здесь
что нас
похоронены.
объединяет, наше прошлое героическое.
This is what brings us together. This is our heroic past.
И создает условия для движения вперед.
And it also lays the foundation for us moving forward into the future.
И вы этим занимаетесь.
And you are doing this important job.
Большое вам спасибо.
So I'd like to say a huge thank you for that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for being here, for
Спасибо.
bestowing honor upon your Russian citizens.
Спасибо, что приехали. Спасибо,
And
что воздали дань уважения российским гражданам.
I hope you find the environs here to be honorable and respectful to your veterans.
Я надеюсь, что обстановка, которую вы здесь найдете, продемонстрирует вам уважение, с которым мы относимся к ветеранам вашей войны.
Так и есть. Спасибо вам большое.
Absolutely. Thank you.
У нас очень хороший диалог состоялся с президентом Трампом сегодня.
We've just had very good conversation with President Trump today.
И спасибо вам за то, что вы создаете здесь такую обстановку.
And thank you very much for creating this kind of environment here.
Yes, thank you, President.
Спасибо, господин президент.
Thank you so much.
So guys, the screen has frozen, I can see from my side, but never mind, because this is not about my face, it's about the videos and the information I'm presenting to you. So here, this was really moving interactions. I don't know how you felt watching this, but I think it was really beautiful moment, how they exchanged the appreciation. And especially the interaction with this man, who, not the priest, but the other person who was in charge of maintaining those graves to be in a good condition. Hopefully no one from the visitors, you know what I'm saying, will touch them like they like to do. But that was really, really moving, I have to say. I could almost feel the energy of very genuine, very sincere and beautiful moment. This apparently took place after, like Putin said, after meeting with Trump. He went there. And now let's look into what Medvedev said that was agreed during those talks between Trump and Putin. So let's go to TASS, everyone. And let's read this from today, August 16 already. Trump refrains from escalating pressure on Russia for at least some time. So before I read this, do you know what this means to me? This actually confirms what I was saying yesterday and today again, that if Russia still requires some time to do the cleanup, Trump will not be putting any pressure on ending this conflict. That's how I'm reading this, because what it means, Russia still needs more time. But this is my approach, my opinion. Let's read this article, Medvedev here. Moscow, August 16, that is today. Deputy Chairman of the Russian Security Council, Dmitry Medvedev, identified US President Donald Trump's refusal to increase pressure on Moscow over the situation in Ukraine as one of the outcomes of the Alaska summit. There are a few points here. Number one, a full-fledged mechanism for high-level meetings between Russia and the US has been restored. It is peaceful, free of ultimatums or threats. Great. Number two, the Russian president presented our conditions for ending the conflict in Ukraine to the US leader in person and in detail. 3. Following nearly 3 hours of talks, the White House host has refused to escalate pressure on Russia, at least for now. That's what Medvedev wrote on his Telegram channel, summing up the meeting between Russian President Vladimir Putin and his US counterpart Donald Trump. So we have this. Now I want to take you to Zelensky and his latest posts. And if you don't see me moving on the screen, never mind, because all I see it's a blank screen. Let's look into Zelensky. Might have this commercial again probably, but okay. So let me read this, guys, what Zelensky put out. Ooh, shall we read this all? Yeah, let's read this all. We had a long, substantive conversation with POTUS, President of the United States. We started with one-on-one talks before inviting European leaders to join us. This call lasted for more than an hour and a half, including about an hour of bilateral conversation with President Trump. Now, this is the highlighted part. Ukraine reaffirms its readiness to work with maximum effort to achieve peace. President Trump informed about his meeting with the Russian leader and the main points of their discussion. It is important that America's strength has an impact on the development of the situation. We support President Trump's proposal for a trilateral meeting between Ukraine, the USA, and Russia. Ukraine emphasizes that key issues can be discussed at the level of leaders, and a trilateral format is suitable for this. On Monday, so this coming Monday, the 18th, I will meet with President Trump in Washington, D.C. to discuss all of the details regarding ending the killing and the war. I am grateful for the invitation. And this is the highlighted part now, the last part of this post. It is important that Europeans are involved at every stage to ensure reliable security guarantees together with America. We also discussed positive signals from the American side regarding participation in guaranteeing Ukraine's security. We continue to coordinate our positions with all partners. I thank everyone who is helping. So that's what the puppet actor clown said. He will be visiting Washington again, and this will be the first time since he was kicked out, as you know, from the White House after that not beautiful meeting. This will be his first time visit. And now I'm searching a video and I just found it. This is the last short video, guys, that I would like to present to you today. This will be from my Instagram. I'm not a big fan of Steve Witkoff, but it's not the point to be a fan or not. The point is what he said in this short clip here. This is the interview he had with Tucker Carlson. Actually, the least favorite interview I ever watched on Tucker, but I didn't know about this moment. Somehow I missed it. So let me play this for you. Did I mute myself? Let me mute myself first.
President Putin had commissioned a beautiful portrait of President Trump from the leading Russian artist and actually gave it to me and asked me to take it home to President Trump, which I brought home and delivered to him. It's been reported in the paper, but it was such a gracious moment, and told me a story, Tucker, about how when the president was shot, he went to his local church and met with his priest and prayed for the president, not because he was the president of he could become the president of the United States, but because he had a friendship with him and he was praying for his friend. It was, I mean, can you imagine sitting there and listening to these kind of conversations? And I came home and delivered that message to our president and delivered the painting. And he was clearly touched by it. President Putin had commissioned a beautiful portrait of President Trump from.
So you see, I didn't know about it, that there was a portrait commissioned by Putin for Trump. I missed that part, but this is true. It's actually a very beautiful gesture. And this also shows you something. Why no media is highlighting this? Because I haven't seen it anywhere, right? Interesting, isn't it? Or maybe not. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I think I'm probably frozen on the screen. but the video is recording, so I hope you got a lot of value from today's video. If you did, make sure to hit the thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, leave the comments down below. The links will be attached, all of the links down below in the description box. If you support my work, it will mean a lot to me if you become my Patreon supporter or local supporter, or you can donate on PayPal as well. And you can also choose to donate via Super Thanks. It keeps me going. And if you have Instagram, follow me there. It's also the link is down below in the description box. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Lots of love. And remember, we are the leading edge and we are saving humanity. And I see you in the next video. Bye, everyone.